Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Access Asia, which this week is dominated by how Covid-19 is affecting the continent. I'm Thomas Waterhouse, and this is what's coming up. As world leaders say tough questions need to be put to China about how the pandemic spread, the nation is harnessing the latest technology to prevent a second wave of infections. The world's largest lockdown lingers. 1.3 billion Indians remain at home. We look at how the worst off are now coping in confinement. And the virus has also dealt a blow to Thailand's professional boxers. With tournaments cancelled and sport halls shut, many fighters have found themselves out the ring, out of work and out of pocket. We begin this edition in the birthplace of this whole pandemic. Mobile data is becoming a key tool against Covid-19 in China. Across the country, local authorities are increasingly working hand in hand with the technology provided by health tracking apps. Our correspondents have sent this next report.
In Shanghai, life is going back to normal. But caution remains high and new tools are being used to avoid a second wave of infections. QR codes have now become the passports that allow Chinese people to move around. To get into a shop, one must show a green health code proving good health. This is obtained by scanning a mosaic through a mobile app. The green health code depends on a number of different factors, including travel history in the last 14 days. For the customers, the system is reassuring.
我觉得这个比较安全，让每个顾客能够感觉到整个城市的一个保障，然后让那些店里的员工也感觉到上海这个城市是很安全的一个城市。
But for those who obtain a red code and are in good health, no explanation is given. This is the case for this man, who had no one to appeal to when he just finished quarantine after a trip to a different province.
因为我们这边写字楼就是需要登记嘛，还需要每天的一个测温，第一次需要出示这个随身码，它需要判断你是否正常健康，所以就是我当时是红色，就没有办法，不太合理吧，但是也是一种防疫的一种手段吧。
The precautionary measures are reinforcing the Chinese state's surveillance. After analyzing the code of one of these apps, this journalist found that once registered, the user's data was handed over to the police.
There's nothing on the app to tell you that the police are in any way involved. It says that this is a government service, but then it doesn't sort of specify beyond that, so it's pretty surprising to then see this beacon that's immediately going to police.
Has the pandemic become an opportunity for China to boost surveillance of its citizens? According to the authorities, these are just exceptional measures.
Fears abound across South Asia that the region could soon become a new frontline in the battle to contain Covid-19. The Indian government has extended its lockdown, but some state ministers are nevertheless eager to see wealth now become a priority over health. The crisis has pushed millions off the job, with many migrant workers flocking to their regions of origin because they can no longer pay their city rents or buy food. Our bureau in New Delhi has sent this.
We're outside the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, the country's most prestigious public hospital, where hundreds of people are living in makeshift shelters of this kind, waiting for the hospital to reopen its doors for patients with non-COVID ailments.
कैंसर का इलाज कराने के लिए आए। कोरोना की वजह से ये जो है इलाज बंद हो गया। इलाज बंद हो गया तो कम से कम सुझाव तो दे या हमारी दवाइयों का इंतजाम तो करें।
With the lockdown in place, they can't go back home nor get the medical care they traveled for. So they are stuck living in these unhygienic conditions, 20 or more people in each tent, with temperatures already soaring above 30 degrees.
हम 600 किलोमीटर दूर से आए, ऑपरेशन भी होगा, अच्छी तरह ऑपरेशन होगा। घर जाना चाहते तो जा भी नहीं सकते। कैसे जाएंगे, मतलब बंद रहेगा तो।
Elsewhere in the capital, food distribution points have sprung up all across the city. Each year, 45 million migrants come to Indian cities in search of jobs. A large majority of them have lost those jobs now and no longer have the resources to feed themselves.
बिहार के रहने वाला हूँ, मिस्त्री के काम करते हैं। एक बार काम बंद हो गया तो दिक्कत हो गया। अब तो इसी तरह लाइन में लग कर खाना खा रहे, बच्चा पाल रहे हैं, भूख मार रहे हैं।
The Indian government has announced a food-based relief package of over 20 billion euros. The goal is to get free food to nearly 800 million vulnerable Indians. But economists fear that many millions will be left out of this safety net.
Now, like other sporting events scheduled to take place this summer, the Olympic Games in Japan have finally been postponed because of the pandemic. That means the iconic flame won't be lit in Tokyo for another year. But the decision to push back the competition has come with a hefty price tag, an expense which many people feel the nation could do without.
The Olympic climbing test event is underway in Tokyo, but there are no spectators. The climbers are staff from the Games organisers. For weeks after the start of the coronavirus outbreak, Japan insisted the Olympics would be held as planned this summer, but few people agreed. The decision to postpone them for a year came as a relief. But the move has come at a huge cost, with Japan looking at an additional bill of between 3 and 5 billion euros, on top of the 12 billion euros already spent. The organisers must pay its 3,500 employees for another year and for the upkeep of sports venues, including the 1.2 billion euro Olympic Stadium, the Games' gleaming centrepiece. Executives at Fuji TV, one of the Games' official broadcasters, try to put on a brave face, but the postponement has turned their programming schedule upside down.
がっかりっていうのと、あとはもうそうなったら一生懸命レギュラーのプログラムで埋めているしかないので、もう次に向けて希望を持って向かっていくということです。
Cancellation of the Games would have been unthinkable. The last time Tokyo hosted the Olympics, in 1964, the Games were a sign of its emergence from the ruins of war and an opportunity to repair its international reputation. The 2020 event has been dubbed the Recovery Games, a reference to the earthquake, tsunami and Fukushima nuclear disaster that struck in 2011. The hotel sector is reeling from the decision to postpone. Near the main stadium, this hotel offers rooms decorated in the kawaii, or cute style known to fans of Japanese pop culture. Despite doubling its rates, the hotel was fully booked this summer. Weeks later, every reservation has been cancelled.
泊数でいくと100泊弱、金額でいくと400万以上の損失が現状出てますとか、秋とかの予約を取っていかないといけない時期なんですが、日本に来ることができるかっていうのがわからない状況。
There are doubts over the future of the athletes' village. The plan was to turn it into 4,000 private apartments after the Olympics. A quarter had already been sold when the Games were postponed. Their new owners will simply have to wait. Despite the turmoil, Tokyo's authorities are trying to stay upbeat, including the city's governor, Yuriko Koike.
フランスのスポーツファンの皆さん、そしてアスリートの皆さん、心からおもてなしできるように、感染症をどうやって防止するのか、みんなの知恵を集めて必ず素晴らしい大会になること、皆さんと共に成功を目指して頑張っていきたいと思っています。
Anti-Olympic activists don't share Koike's optimism. They want the games cancelled altogether.
今回の東京オリンピックの延期を日本政府が発表して、今度はこのコロナに打ち勝ったオリンピックとして演出しようと、福島のことはどこに行ったのかということも一つありますし、そのためにオリンピックを強行するというような逆転した、やり方をまたやろうとしていることは本当に許し難いことで。
Away from the fray, athletes have been spending the spring trying to train, doing their best not to think about the virus or the game's postponement. Dorfman, like his rowers, is learning to be patient. A state of emergency was declared in Japan in April, forcing him to cancel training sessions and sending his athletes back inside their homes.
Well, staying with the sporting theme, we head now to Thailand. The boxing community there has found itself not only out of pocket, but also missing out on the usual high adrenaline action. The coronavirus has led to gyms and stadiums closing their doors and competitions being cancelled. And the strict social distancing rules mean that boxers aren't now actually allowed to box normally.
This former Muay Thai world champion hasn't hung up his gloves, even if it means sparring the air between him and his trainer. Thailand's professional fighters are up against a new reality. Gyms are closed and tournaments are cancelled, and the pandemic has left them out of work.
20,000 ถึง 30,000 ครับแต่มาเจอโลกนี้ก็ชีวิตเปลี่ยนกลับเป็นไม่มีรายได้เข้าหามีแต่รายจ่ายครับ
The Muay Thai scene has taken a beating. In early March, a packed-out arena in Bangkok led to hundreds of infections, and stadiums were among the first places to close. Since age 11, Somyong had been training around 7 hours a day. Now he's back in his home province, helping on the farm, and he's worried about what will happen without the constant surge of adrenaline.
ถ้าเราไม่ได้ชกเราก็ไม่มีเงินนะพี่เราก็ไม่ได้ใช้แต่แบบร่างกายเราถ้าเราหยุดนานร่างกายเราก็อาจจะไม่เหมือนเดิม
As with most pro fighters in Thailand, Somyong started training as a child, and the ring was a way out of poverty for him and his family. Like many others, he doesn't have a valid Thai ID and won't qualify for government assistance. For the moment, he's left to relive his past fights and mull over the future.
And we end this edition with a safety sing-song. A few weeks ago, a music video released by Thailand's rail operator went viral. A video in which Bangkok train workers showed commuters how best to protect themselves when travelling on the network there. Now it's the turn of the country's soldiers to release a catchy song. In the clip, members of the Royal Thai Army urge citizens to strap on a face mask and separate their cutlery, and they also call for their fellow countrymen and women to stand united and disciplined in their efforts to stamp out the deadly virus. And that wraps up this edition of Access Asia. Thanks for watching, and do stay tuned to France 24.
We've got a brand new show for you on France 24. It's called The World Confined, and it's all about this extraordinary global health crisis that's touching all of our lives. Millions infected, billions more on lockdown. Our reporters take you around the world as we see how different states are responding to the threat of the coronavirus. Do join us on France 24 and at france24.com.
A World Confined on France 24 and france24.com.